Greetings everyone, and welcome to another episode of Shadow's Top 10, where I count down the best stories from any genre or theme within the My Little Pony fandom. Today we will be looking at my favorite books centered around ponies interacting with humans, which means that if any of you happen to see Lyra hanging around, you need to have the tasers ready in case things get out of hand. As always, keep in mind that this list is comprised of my favorite books from the fandom, so if your die-hard favorite story isn't here, please don't turn me into charcoal in the comments section because I didn't include your story in the list. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, so let's get this train wreck started. Number 10. The first book on my list is a story that I found to be both entertaining and slightly annoying at times, and any fan of the My Little Pony series would probably have similar feelings should they be familiar with this title. No, I'm not a Brony. Get me out of Equestria. Try saying that 5 times fast. Written by the talented Brony writer, is a mid-length book that is comprised of almost 115,000 words, separated into 25 chapters, including the subsidiary Q&A and bonus material. It is rated T for teen due to action, blood, and other such things, although it doesn't go too far beyond the usual combat details, so no need to worry about getting blindsided by something you didn't want to read. Within these pages, we find a young man named TD who, you guessed it, is not a Brony, and would rather have nothing to do with the show that he believes to be nothing more than a little girl's fantasy. Yet that all comes crashing down around his head when he finds himself transported to the very universe he has sworn off out of spite, with seemingly no way to return home. Follow TD as he begins his journey across the Pony Planet in the hopes of finding a way to return to his old life, as he meets creatures of all types and develops a reputation that is on par with Princess Celestia and Luna. A comedic story that had me laughing just as often as I was smacking my face, it truly deserves a spot in this list if for no other reason than it wouldn't leave me alone if I didn't. Number 9. Taking a step back from the classic human in Equestria trope, the next title on this list is a story that I have already reviewed once before, Stardust, written by the author known as Arad, forgive me if I mispronounce that, takes the classic idea of a human fumbling around in the land of ponies and flips it on its head. Weighing in over 216,000 words and split up into 36 chapters, this book follows the rather arduous adventures of Twilight Sparkle as she tries to survive an Earth under alien siege. Crossing over with the popular video game XCOM Enemy Within, Twilight must do her best to make friends with the humans that surround her, even though they trust her about as far as they can throw her. Rated T for teen, this story does include some battlefield blood and gore as well as some language, but then again, when compared to the original material, there was far worse that the author could throw at us if he had truly wanted to. Coming back to the plot, Twilight is tasked with overcoming these seemingly impossible odds by none other than Discord, the self-proclaimed Lord of Chaos, and Twilight's only hope of getting home is to prove to both the Draconiquus and the wary humans that friendship can overcome even the most powerful of animosities. Take a look inside these pages if you feel up for a rock'em sock'em adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. And make sure to check out my complete book review later if you have any interest in getting a more in-depth peek before reading it for yourself. Number 8. Moving a step away from the blood-pumping adventure scene, our next story is a slice of life that will hit you in the heartstrings more than getting it pumping a mile a minute. The Discovery, written by the Crimson Wolf, is a book that returns to the tried-and-true human in Equestria trope, although the premise is rather somber when compared to how many humans end up in the land of ponies. Totaling out at just over 115,000 words, this 20-chapter marvel is enough to keep most readers busy for at least a few days, assuming that you can sit down and power through some of the heavier material. Due to said heavy material, this book is rated M for both adult content as well as the rather powerful personal struggles faced by the characters. Meaning if you are wanting to check this book out, I warn you in advance that you might be getting in over your head if you are too young for such things. Read at your own risk. Anyways, the plot begins with a man named David, an experienced space traveler and one of the oldest humans alive if you take into account cryogenic freeze time. Due to a tragic accident during their return trip to Earth, David is the sole survivor of his crew after the ship suffers a catastrophic explosion, leaving our main character on death's door upon his rough landing in Equestria. Rescued by a hard-working unicorn mare named Midnight Shadow and faced with the overwhelming knowledge that he can never return home, David must come to terms with both his conflicted personal feelings and the guilt that threatens to eat him alive from the inside out. Truly a story that deserves a place in the spotlight if you don't mind your heart getting pulled in 7 different directions. Check it out if you have the time and make sure to let Crimson know I sent you if you enjoy his work. Number 7. Taking another look at the Pony on Earth idea, we come across a story that may seem a bit out there at first glance, but I believe it more than proves its worth once you get into it. Back and There Again, written by the author known as Sun Sage, is a book that grabbed my attention in a similar fashion to Stardust. Although instead of Twilight Sparkle taking center stage, this book follows the misadventures of Rarity as she tries to find her place among these strange bipedal beings and, hopefully, a way back home. Coming in just shy of 112,000 words and totaling at 29 chapters, this action-filled adventure packs a wallop that will leave your head spinning if you aren't careful. Rated T for teen, this book does have a bit of blood and violence, although the language is kept to a minimum for the majority of the book. Following an alien invasion that nearly wiped out the human race, Rarity must struggle with fitting in where she is an outsider in nearly every way, forcing the once fastidious mare to undergo some rather dramatic changes in order to survive. Will Rarity manage to find a way back to Equestria, or will she be doomed to wander an alien world for the rest of her days? You'll just have to read the book for yourselves to find out. Number 6. Speaking of aliens, boy, that seems to be a rather common theme now that I think about it. Anyway, the story that will be rounding out the first half of the countdown is another crossover, this time following the plotline of the first 3 Halo games. For those of you that are not familiar with the Halo franchise, it takes place in the distant future where humanity has expanded into the stars and established itself as an interstellar power. Yet the first alien contact that humanity encounters is a rather hostile one, forcing the vastly outnumbered and outgunned UNFC to fight a desperate battle in order to prevent the all-out eradication of the human race. Helljumpers, written by Commander Applejack, centers around Princess Twilight Sparkle and Scootaloo, transported far from home by a powerful spell gone wrong and dropped directly into the middle of an active combat zone. Falling just short of 115,000 words and totaling 28 chapters with the bonus material. This story is one of my personal favorites, and I have been following it ever since the first chapter was released. Rated T for teen, there is a plethora of battlefield blood and guts, as well as rampant swearing from the UNFC troopers, so fair warning for any who wish to read. And yet, given the original subject matter, one would expect there to be such things in a story like this, so I guess you should be at least mostly prepared for what you find within. Follow along as Twilight and Scootaloo join up with a squad of ODST Marines, better known as Helljumpers, and make sure to grab some popcorn on the way. Readers are in for a wild ride between covers of this book, and I guarantee that it will not disappoint, as the Princess of Friendship battles for homeworld and friends alongside one of the most daring fillies to grace the written word. Check it out if you have the time. It's one hell of a jump and more than worth the risk on the way down. Number 5. Taking the premise of the previous book and putting an original spin onto it, Into the Black, A Mare's Tale is a story that once again stars Twilight Sparkle, although our talented unicorn friend is well beyond the help of any of her friends and family, to the point that everyone except for Pinkie Pie believes she has perished. Rated T for teen, there is a healthy amount of cursing and battlefield gore, so another heads up for younger readers. Shiro Tora, again please forgive me if I mispronounce that, is a talented writer behind this masterpiece and tells a tale of spaceships and war-torn worlds, dragging Twilight through challenges and hardships that would break the spirit of a lesser being. And all while the mare struggles to find her way home once again. Comprised of nearly 115,000 words, again, separated into 59 chapters, Shiratora references several age-old classics within the plot, bouncing from jokes about the Star Wars franchise to making fun of the classic megalomaniac villains from Saturday morning TV, and even connecting the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table to the very creation of Equus. And yet even with these nods to popular culture and classic literature, Shiratora still manages to make the story completely his own, creating several unique species and providing detailed anatomical insight, as well as connecting the plotline in such a way that you never get pulled out of the story, even whenever a curveball hits you upside the head. Definitely a book worthy of the Masterworks title, at least in my own humble opinion, so take a look if you have the time and enjoy blasting off into the vast expanse of space. Number 4. Taking a break from the galactic theater and coming back planet-side, the next entry in our list is a book that not only stars the main cast, but also several other species from across the wide world of Equus, all while stumbling young man tries not to get caught in the middle. Our number 4 slot, as well as acting as our thumbnail for this lovely countdown, Misunderstandings, written by the Rogue Wolf, is a tale that centers around Peter Collins, a lost soul who gets wrapped up in one mess after another as he tries to find his place in Equestria. Coming in at almost 230,000 words, this 35-chapter story is one that will definitely take a while to finish, although the payoff is more than worth it if you can make it through. Touching on the darker side of the seemingly utopic land of ponies, this T-rated book begins when Peter is captured by a cruel circus ringleader and forced to perform as a wild animal. Given the ponies cannot understand him, Peter must rely on his wits and his singular pistol in order to escape, managing to release the other captive creatures in the process as he makes a break for freedom. Through numerous challenges and near misses, Peter manages to befriend a griffin hen that was once part of the circus he escaped, working with her and the ponies that actually have a care, in order to overcome the many obstacles that stand between him and his freedom. Overall, this was one of the most heartfelt books I have read to date, and I would not hesitate to read it again and again, because it is clear the author put everything into creating an engaging and suspenseful plot that will keep readers entertained from beginning to end. Number 3. And so we come to the top 3, where we find a most unique book that grabbed my attention from the very start and dragged me through an adventure worthy of the ancient Greek epics. Given the story's popularity, I would be inclined to believe that this might be one of the stories that draws readers into the fandom in the first place, although there are a few others that come to mind. Project Sunflower, written by Hoopy McGee, tells the tale of a doomed planet Earth where a seemingly unstoppable wave of nanomachines is slowly transforming the world into a uniform black goop. Within these pages, a total of 243,000 words carry the reader along through 35 chapters of doubt, secrets, and mystery, while the ever-flowing river of time counts down to the planet's destruction. Rated T for teen, this book doesn't delve too much into violence or cursing, but it does deal heavily with some of the more unsavory aspects of human nature, so fair warning, ye who be unprepared. Coming back to the story proper, the nanomachines dubbed the Black Tide have forced humanity to search for any and all ways to save itself from certain doom, using powerful dimensional gate technology to search the cosmos for another world that they can call home. Finally, they stumble upon a planet that could support human life, but are shocked when it is discovered that the planet is already inhabited. Unwilling to risk diplomatic contact without first learning more of their new neighbors, a young woman named Erin volunteers to be changed into a pony in order to fit in with the local populace. Follow Erin as she stumbles and struggles through one challenge after another, and does what little she can to bridge the gap between her world and the one she has been sent to explore, all in the hope that there might be some way, any way, to save her race and maybe even her planet without destroying this new world in the process. Number 2. Now, we've all heard of the books that seem to pop up like weeds in this fandom. You know the ones, the books that yank a poor human out of nowhere and then drop them into Equestria, transformed into a pony or some other native species, and then watch the fireworks begin. Well, this book does something a little different. Instead of changing a human into a pony and dropping them in Equestria, Discord decides that it would be much more entertaining to watch the chaos unfold by changing a large percentage of the human race into ponies and then letting them run around on Earth. The Chaotic Touch of Harmony, written by the highly talented, law-abiding pony, follows a small group of humans turned ponies as they struggle to make their own way on a planet at war. Terrorized by a group of mutated beings called the Myons, humanity must do everything in its power to avoid becoming assimilated into this alien conclave, while also dealing with the sudden appearance of several million ponies. Rounded out at just over 234,000 words, this 28-chapter story will entertain and surprise readers from beginning to end, although it must be stated that this M-rated book more than deserves the warning. With loads of sexual content and more blood and gore than you can shake a stick at, this book is definitely for young adults and above, so younger readers beware. However, as with many books of this size and rating, the more, shall we say, mature details do have important roles to play in the story, so much so that it actually plays a significant part in shaping the very identity of the main characters. All in all, this book is one of my favorites, and with 2 more books in the series, there is plenty more to enjoy if you find the first story to your liking. Number 1. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the final shot on our countdown, the top dog, numero uno, when it comes to humans and the ponies of Equestria. I present to you my personal pick for one of the best books to grace the fandom with its amazing plot and storytelling. The number 1 human book, in my personal opinion, is Coming Out of It, written by one of the most talented writers I know, The Boss. This masterpiece of storytelling is over 322,500 words, split into 66 individual chapters. A bit of warning for those of you that are looking to read this story, it is definitely rated M for mature, and for a very good reason. It contains sexual content and enough blood and guts to sink a battleship, but as stated before, that is all part of the plot and would make the story incomplete without it. Just make sure that all potential readers are young adults or above. I would hate it if I was responsible for scarring younger readers because of my suggestions. Anyways, now that we have that taken care of, let's take a bit of a look into the plot of the book, shall we? Our tale begins with the zombie-infested wasteland that was once America, where we find a young man scrounging out an existence while doing his best to avoid becoming one of the infected, as they are known in this particular version of events. And yet young Dominic is rather unceremoniously dragged from his home, if one could call it that, and dropped into the very center of Canterlot Castle, where he is confronted by none other than Princesses Celestia and Twilight Sparkle. Through trials and tribulations, Dominic forges a new home for himself and the smattering of other humans that have found their way into Equestria, claiming the land south of the border for his own and creating a new city-state from the ashes of his former country. Discord, Princess Luna, and a whole helping of other characters are brought together in this tumultuous beginning to what has become a 3-book series, and it even bridges the gap between fiction and reality, given that the My Little Pony show is a real thing back on Dominic's version of Earth. Follow along as our wayward young hero does what he can to make a new home for himself and those he cares about, and prepare for a journey back to Earth, where the gears of war have already begun to turn. Alright everyone, now that we have finished my latest top 10, I want to pass on a very important message to all of my fans, both new and old. Please support the original authors and show them some love for all of their hard work. They put months and years of their lives into creating the books we know and cherish, so do them and me a big favor and click on the links below to go and check out the books for yourselves if you can find the time. I know I feel great when readers support my own stories, and I want to express my gratitude for the authors who inspired me to begin writing for myself. All of the artwork in this video belongs to the authors and artists who worked so very hard to make these books come to life, as well as all rights for the music belong to the original artists. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video, whenever I happen to get it out. Until next time, this is Shadowquill, Messenger of the Moon, signing off.
Feel like I am flying, soaring high. Nobody can bring me down.